Always a pleasure to have Pro Football Hall of Famer Walter Jones in the house, my co-host on the Fifth Quarter every Sunday night on King 5, right after Sunday Night Football on NBC. And Walt, we want to hear about your career, your stories, your experiences. 12 years in the NFL, 9 Pro Bowls. I want to start with your family life when you were a kid, and you weren't always 315 pounds and as huge as you are. Take me back to what it was like growing up and getting into sports.
Oh, man, I wasn't 315 pounds, but I was a 10-pound baby, so that was not normal back then to be that big as a baby. It was 8 of us, so I was the 7th child. So to come out, at that size, that was kind of like the talk of the town back then, to see a 10-pound. Now they're having 10 and 15-pound babies, but back then that was the talk of the town. For me, I grew up with four sisters and 3 brothers, so I got a chance to figure out how it is to fight for your own. And if mom said the food is ready, you got to go and eat then, because if you don't, there's nothing else to eat. So that was something that I learned at a very young age.
Did your mom, when did she allow you to play sports?
Well, when I didn't start playing until I was a freshman in high school, what happened was I had a brother that was pretty good at sports. He played baseball. He was kind of like an all-sport. He was pretty good, and he had broke his leg. And, my mom, she was a single parent, so it was hard for him. Like, when he broke his leg, we used to have to walk probably like a quarter of a mile to the bus stop every day. So once he broke his leg, it got very tough for her to try to get him to the bus stop, try to get him to the doctor. So at that point, she was like, okay, we're done with sports because I can't afford it. If somebody get hurt, can't nobody take care of you. So at that point, we didn't, there wasn't no father figure there to kind of pressure you into saying you got to play sports. So.
Okay, so how did you convince her?
How I convinced her was, I was being the youngest. When I heard that, it kind of it just turned that switch off. So at that point, I probably was probably the 5th grade. Probably at that time, it wasn't no pressure though. So as I went through junior high and when I got to high school, it was never pressure. Nobody never said, "Hey, Walt, you should be playing this," or I was I would say I was a normal sized kid. I played around with kids in the neighborhood and stuff, but sports was never brought up in the home. It was never, nobody said you should be doing this. And so when I became a freshman in high school, I heard everybody start hearing rumors about they done hired this new football coach that was he used to play semi-pro. He was pretty good, and what he used to do was he would stand out on the campus there and watch kids walk through, and was kind of like picking out kids and saying I'm gonna get kids on the football team. So he saw me walking just by my size. He asked me why I was not playing football, and I said, well, the reason I haven't playing, I said, because my mom said I can't play, blah, blah, blah. So he kind of talked to my mom and after he took me out on the football field and kind of took me through some drills and kind of see that, that I had, the capacity to get the grips of football. And it came pretty easy to me. So at that point, I went to my mom. I said, I want to play. And I said, and I didn't know that football would get me to this point. But at that time, he kind of made me feel like, hey, I can do this and I can be great at it.
So you played football. You also played basketball too, right?
I played basketball too. I used basketball. My coach always told me to use basketball as a way to stay in shape for football. So, and honestly, I love basketball more than I love football. So, I thought that was going to be my way out was playing basketball, because I really enjoy playing basketball, and I just used it for staying in shape, because we did, you play football, you play basketball, then you got the whole summer off. So I would use that for a form of staying in shape and, helping with your feet. Because when I first started playing, I was a tight end. I played tight end and I played defense end. I didn't know nothing about playing offensive line. I was just a tight end. I thought all I want to do is catch the football and score with it. So that's what I did when I first got out there. But as I continually kept playing, my coach kept, I'd be watching him with the O-linemen, and so he was like, hey, Walt, come over here. So I would go over there with the offensive lineman, then he'll take me through drills, see where my balance was, see how I can react, and I was doing it better than some of the offensive linemen. So that's when he kind of you need to be playing. That's when we changed the whole offense. So I wanted to be tight end, so he took the tight end, and we ran the read option. So that basically overload. And I was the tight end, so we ran the read option behind me my freshman, my sophomore year. So I didn't catch for 2 passes. All I had was a pop pad. The pop pad was I just block, then I just get right in front of the quarterback. That's all I had. I had that, and it was a tight end drag. That means I just drag across right behind the linebackers and drag her. Just hope he see you.
Yeah, but if they ran that play behind you, you must have been crushing people along the
man,
way, right?
I was a big kid on campus. I was probably about 6'3", about 225 at that time. So I was getting taller. You know what I'm saying? I dunked my first basketball as a freshman. So I just didn't. I didn't at that time. I didn't have the weight. At that time, you thought you was big. Everybody was saying you was big, but now that you look at other kids, at the time you just growing. You know what I'm saying? You was coming into your own as a high school student. So for me, I was just being like, if he told me to do this, I could do that, and it was easy for me to do it.
All right, before we move on to the football, I want to know about your basketball game. Were you shooting jumpers? Like, what was the strong part of your game?
Oh my God,
backing guys down?
My game was pretty good. When I played, I was when I first went out as a freshman. And, like they had the freshmen and they had the high school guys. And so once we did all doing our warm-ups, layups and stuff, and as a freshman, you thinking there's no way I can get on the varsity squad. So I was like, he said, okay, everybody that want to go on the varsity squad, go down anyway. Everybody want to be on the junior varsity state. So I said, I know I'm not going to, this is my first year. So I went on the varsity. He's like, hey, Walt, no, you go down here with the varsity. So I didn't start as a freshman, but I played with the varsity. So I learned quick how to play the game. So probably my junior year was the year that I was coming off the bench. I was the sixth man off the bench. So that year I was averaging 18, and I got the they called back then, it was like the MVP trophy. It's called the Will Hughes trophy, and I got that trophy as coming off the bench. And people used to say, why do you got it? Why you don't have him start? And the coach said, why would I have him start when I got this guy this good coming off the bench? So
yeah.
That's what I did.
So it's kind of a six-man award for you.
A six-man. There wasn't a six-man. This is the big MVP back in this small town. It was a family. One of their kids one of their son had passed away, so they named a trophy out of him. It was called the Will Hughes Award.
Right. So
that's like the MVP award. So I got that as coming off the bench as a six-man.
That's cool. All right, that takes us to Florida State, where I know you went to JC for a couple of years, and then you went to Florida State. So, and you dominated at the junior college level, and obviously Florida State caught your eye, and you caught their eye. Bobby Bowden, what was it like playing for him?
It was great. Junior college was probably, I tell people all the time, I said junior college was probably the funnest for me playing football, because I got a chance to. That was the first time you got a chance to leave home and to get a chance to meet other people. Sometimes when you're in a small town, you're used to seeing a certain type of people, and you don't get a chance to see nobody else. So for me personally, to get to junior college, it was so much fun, And like on the weekends, on junior college, the in-state kids had to go home on the weekend. Only people that could be on campus was the out-of-state. So we was the only 5 guys on campus. So we had so much fun, man. It was pretty cool at that time. I really enjoyed it. But once I got to playing ball there, man, I knew what I was there for, and I just kind of okay, this is my opportunity to kind of show that I deserve to be here. So, like you say, I kind of, all the accolades came, kind of just like in high school. All the accolades came, and I'd already had decided I was going to Florida State out of high school and stuff. So,
well, who else offered you?
Let's see,
Alabama. The list too long?
No, not really. I had my team. Like the thing about my coach was the thing about him was the one thing he told me once he was taking me through drill, because he was semi-pro. At that time, I didn't know what semi. All I heard was pro, so I didn't know how good that was or where that was at in the game in the scheme of things when I was playing ball. But I thought okay, he knew more than anybody here know about playing football. So, he was taking me through drills, and he told me, he said, hey man, you're $1 million walking around broke. That was after 1 year of playing ball, he told me that. He said, you're $1 million walking around broke. And at that time, I was thinking to myself, man, what? I don't have no money, so I get it. But at that time, I couldn't put that into what that meant at that time. So, and after that, he was in high school. I give a lot of credit to him, because at that time, he showed me the way. He showed me that, hey, there's other kids like you. If you want this is what it takes. So, on weekends, we'll play a game on Friday night, so we'll say, what team you want to go see? We'll go see Alabama. We'll go see Mississippi State, or we'll go out to LSU. So I got a chance to experience that part of it, seeing the big stage, seeing kids my size playing D1 and they're getting the job done. I said to my head, he was hey, you can play that too. So I felt okay, I can play that. So after that point, he took me to a Florida State camp. And that's when it kind of my eyes just opened up. I oh my God, this is where I went to Florida State, and I was, and my family wanted me to go to Alabama. They was, working, trying to get me to go. But at the time, once I went to Florida State, I saw their highlight film, and and I saw the colors, and I was hooked. I said, this is where I want to play. So I did everything I could to get back to Florida State, and I did highlight tapes, and because I wasn't like a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, so it was because of my grades and is he going to graduate? So it was a lot of stuff behind me that, okay, I got to get this done before I can get to Florida State. So, but Florida State, I did a highlight tape for them, and they say, hey, man, if you make your grades, we're going to offer you a scholarship. And if you don't get a scholarship, we're going to send you to one of our junior college. So at that point, I told them, I said, this is where I want to be. So I did everything that they wanted me to do. So they sent me to the junior college that they deal with. And when I went to that junior college, it was like they had 2 junior colleges, and they said, well, the coach don't know nothing about you, but we told him we got this athlete. We want you to see that you like him. So I walked into the office of the coach at the junior college, and we just sat there. He asked me, he said, so you want to play for Florida State? Blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, this is where I want to play. I said, but they told me that I had 2 junior colleges that had an opening for me. And he asked, so you do want to play football? I said, yes. And I said, okay, cool. And it kind of like the room got silent. Then I was like, okay, cool. So I got up to walk out, and I was going with my coach, and I was like, okay, well, this didn't go good. I said, I guess the next. And then he walked out. He said, hey, we got you a scholarship. And I said, why would you give me a scholarship? He said, you passed the eyeball test. He hadn't saw no film or nothing. He just said, I passed the eyeball test.
Oh, wow.
So I went there and played 2 years. And
yeah, people don't understand. I don't think a lot of people know that you were redshirted your first year there. So you really only played 1 year at Florida State before getting drafted in the first round of the NFL.
Exactly, and that's a story in itself, because they had 2 starting tackles that had been there from their red shirt. They was going into their one freshman was going. One tackle was going into his senior year. Todd Fordham, he got picked up by Pittsburgh, and we had Trey Thomas. They was the starting tackles coming in off last season. So he was the starting left tackle, and he was a 5th-year senior. So I knew I couldn't beat him out, but they were like, we need to get you on the field, Walt. So what they did was we split reps. So we throughout the whole season, that year we was number one. We was the number 1 team. We got to the championship game. We split tackles year round. They would go in for 2 series. Then I'll take one of them out, play that series. Then the other one will go out, play that series. I did that the whole year. So I had to play right and left tackle. My only year there at Florida State, I had to play both positions. But they wanted me. They were like, you're a great athlete. We need you on the field. So you're going to play. So I played that whole year as being basically a backup to both of those guys.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But they was giving me time to get out there and play. And it was fun. Like it was like cool. Like I'm at Florida State. We're the number 1 team in the country. We played those games. We went through the whole season number 1, and we got to the Sugar Bowl. We beat Florida in the first round. In the regular season, but they came back and they smacked us pretty good in the championship game, like 52-20. So that was crazy. But I wanted to win a championship. So I want to win one, but I didn't. So after that, at that time, I was there was rumors coming out. Okay, Florida State got a left tackle down there. That's pretty good. So I came in the locker room one day, and they do this draft thing where they naming guys, like who's the top guys at left tackle. So at that time they had Orlando Pace was number 1. I was number 2. At that time I was like, oh my God, like really? Like
That blew you away to see that you were rated
because
that
high. Because I was in between. I was like, I made like second team All ACC or something like that. So I was like, I wasn't even thinking like that. At that time, what happened was that Peter Bower and them, all those guys was getting reps, and so they said one of the agent asked that, name me a guy that we should be looking at that we ain't looking at, and everybody named, you should be looking at Walter Jones, and that's when it kind of like it started like. So I was like, oh my God. So and then he heard the rumors. Coach Bowden heard the rumors that Walt is thinking about coming out. Guys are thinking about coming out. So after we lost the championship game in the Sugar Bowl, he was talking about next year. And all of a sudden he said, hey, all those guys that are thinking about coming out, hey, we're gonna have a great team next year. So like in my mind, I was like, man, we are gonna be pretty good. I got Trey. Trey will be a senior. I'll be a senior. We're gonna be like the top tackle. So I was literally thinking like, okay, maybe I can come back. So. And my mom had came to the game, so we was back talking. I said, well, Mom, I know what I'm going to do. I said, let me just think about it. I said, let me get back to school. Let me think about it. This agent was out to me. I was like, man, I don't know what to do. And so I got back to school, and we was in class. I was in class. I was in a criminology class, man. I was in the class. I was sitting there, man, and all of a sudden the guy started talking. He was like, yes. He said, the paper's going to be due on Friday. It was like Monday. And I was like looking around the classroom. I said, what? a paper? I said, what paper? Oh, yeah, we gave y'all the paper to do. Like, once you get out for Christmas break, you got like almost a month.
Yeah.
So you don't have no, it's like, you're hearing stuff, but you're not hearing. So I looked around and said, a paper due? I said, we got to get up and talk? And I said, so I got up. I came out the room. I called. The first person I called my agent that I like. It was Roosevelt Barn. I called him. I say, hey, man, I said, what do I got to do to enter the draft? And he said, you got to do this. So I withdraw from class. And I said, this is it. I'm going. That was like that opportunity that knocked on the door. You're like, okay, not saying I want to did the paper, but it was like, okay, I'm not going to do a paper in a week. So that kind of like if I was at 75, that put me over. So.
Well, so when you at that point though, man, you got to be tired of schoolwork. Like you think, man, I can make a living and get out of this classwork. And
you know what? At that time, that didn't even come to I had like at times like because at that time agents could come and talk to you, like come to the dorm, they could talk to you. I had like Drew Rosenhaus. I had all these agents coming in. Like Drew was like telling me on all like you can do this and do that. That for me, coming from a small town, that doesn't do nothing for me. Like you got the And then when I met Rose, he was kind of like just chill, just tell him, hey Walt, you can do this. If you do this, you do this. And I kind of was like, okay, that's what I need. I need somebody that's going to be honest with me, going to tell me what I need to do and how I need to get it done. So I asked him, I said, what I need to do. I signed with him, and then I withdrew from school, and I left in like 2 days. I was down in New Orleans preparing for the combine.
Man, I can just listen to you talk about your college days. I can tell there's a lot of passion there. We haven't even talked about the Seahawks or the NFL, but you're going on and on about college and your sports career back then. And was that the most fun you had playing football? Was before you got to the NFL?
I would say, yeah. I tell people all the time. I tell kids all the time now. I say enjoy it now. Not saying that playing in the pro is not fun, but I'm saying it becomes a job. So it's a lot more to it than just going out there and playing football and doing this. But I think in high school, and for me personally, because I started so young, I wasn't pressured to play. So when I got that opportunity, when I knew that there was my way out, when I said this is what I'm going to use, it was fun for me. I said this is my opportunity to better myself, opportunity to better my family. And at that time, I wasn't, I saw college life, but I was thinking to myself, like, I'm really enjoying this. I just want an opportunity. Even when I came out for the draft, I was just saying, I didn't care about if I was drafted in the first round or the seventh round. I was just like, if I get in there, I'm gonna do good. I'm gonna make enough money to take care of me and my family. So at that point, I was just like, I just want to get drafted. So when I got drafted, when I came out with that ranking, I was like, oh man. So still at that time, I was working out. And still, and again, I was that guy. Like everybody, it was Orlando Pace, it was Sean Springs, it was Darryl Russell, another cornerback. These guys was top tier guys. These guys was like they had the accolades, they had everything. Me, I was like, everybody was like, who the heck is Walter Jones? So for me, I was just like, just get in there. If I get in there, I'm gonna prove to them that and they were saying what everybody was saying. He's a kid, he's a raw. He haven't played a lot of football, but they saw something, so I just wanted an opportunity.
Well, one of the great stats for you is 9 holding penalties in 12 years of football is really just amazing. I want to talk to you a little bit about the Seahawks and the NFL, and you talk about the most fun you had was really kind of before you got to the NFL, and you enjoyed every minute of it. But in 05, you guys get to the Super Bowl. Any stories from those days where was Mike Holmgren just a ruthless dictator, or how was it in that 05 season?
Oh man, the thing for me with Mike Holmgren was that for me coming here in '97 and kind of like the team we had, we wasn't that good. I felt like at that time we was getting better. Like we would go into games, we would play good teams, but we wouldn't finish the game. So we'll go and play somebody like, oh, we'll go play Denver. I'm like, okay, we'll go out there, we'll play good, but then Denver will find some way to win. We'll find some way to lose the game in the end, and that was kind of like the way that every season went for us. Like I felt like, man, we can play with this squad, but why can't we beat them? Like why we can't win in the end? You know what I'm saying? It was just letdown after letdown. So when Coach Holmgren came in, it was more like, okay, this guy didn't win a Super Bowl. So when he walked in the door, you knew that, okay, he had the backing. So when you got the backing, you come in and say, hey, this is the way we're gonna do it. And then he said, hey, the one thing he said, if this is the way we're gonna do it. If you follow me, we'll be in the Super Bowl. And I thought to myself, I said, well, that's all I need to hear. So if you tell me this is the way we're going to do it, and I think everybody, the way that the team was playing, it was like you have to follow. If you don't, you're not going to be here. So it was pretty easy for me to fall in line to what he wanted us to do as a team and as players.
Well, he just as you have a lot of respect for him, he has a ton of respect for you, and he's called you the best offensive player he's ever been around. I'm sure you heard that, and that's everybody. That's quarterbacks, running backs, and he called you the best offensive player you've ever been around. But I know that you had your time there with the Hawks, where with training camps in full gear now, in full swing. You had your share of holding out of these camps, and was at what point did it just you got sick of it? Because really, that's the story, right, Walt? Yeah. I mean, the money was there, but you didn't want to compete at training camp because did it get tiresome for you and just ridiculous and monotonous?
At that point, I tell people all the time.
Be truthful now, Walt.
I'm gonna be totally truthful. I would say a lot of people say holding out. It wasn't I have to tell people it wasn't a holdout. It was. I just didn't sign my contract because it wasn't a lot of time with holdout is you have a contract that you say, okay, I'm not coming to work until I get a new contract. Me personally, they franchised me. All I had to do was sign my franchise tag. I just didn't sign it until, okay, my payroll don't start till the 1st of September. So I told my agent, I said, hey, if they don't want me on a contract, I'm not going to sign that until the season starts. So it was never tiresome for me personally because once I sat down with my agent, if I sit down with anybody, if you was doing something for me and I told you, hey man, this is where it's going to work, we're not gonna go off that beaten path. So for me, it was never I knew what I had to do to be ready for the season. And I tell people all the time, I said the thing that saved me the most was that I didn't change the offense. We didn't lose a coach. We had the same offensive system, so it was pretty easy for me to come back. And I've asked Coach Holmgren at the time that I missed camp and I came in and started. And I used to I come in on Monday, we'll practice on Monday, Tuesday off, come in on Wednesday practice. How you feeling? I'm feeling good. Okay, you're going to play. So I said to myself, and then I get in the game and I play the whole entire game. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself, man, did Holmgren play me just to, okay, you don't come to camp, we're going to play you. So I always had that in the back of my mind when I was working out. I said, no matter what happened, I know how coaches think. If just to get back at me, they're going to see, okay, we're going to make sure you're not in shape. We're going to play you. So I go out there and I play the whole game, and they so I was doing a show with him, and I asked him, I said, Coach, I said, anytime did you ever think about just punishing me? He said, no matter if he's out of shape, we're going to play him anyway. But, I knew that they was going to play me.
Did he admit it?
No, he wouldn't admit that. But I know, you can't tell me if a guy come in that late that you're going to play him the entire game, and they play every game. Every time I came in, they played me. But after the first year, I said, I got to be ready to play the whole game. And the thing that helped me out was that, the plays are easy. It's the same. It's the same stuff. So all I had to do is make sure my win is up, make sure I'm in shape. So
you kept yourself in shape with kind of the strange different ways. Like when you were out of camp, I'm not going to say you were holding out, but when you were at home, you kept yourself in shape and you were pushing an Escalade around. Exactly. So I mean, how people saw that video and they saw the pictures of you behind an Escalade pushing it. Is that overblown, or is that kind of what you really did to stay in shape?
Hey, that's not overblown. When I was in high school, my coach, we didn't have a lot of weight equipment, and that's what he did for the old linemen. He made us push his old pickup truck. So that was our squat day. That was our leg day. So, and for me personally, when I used to do squats when I was by myself, I would always kind of wasn't, if you're not doing squats perfectly, you can tweak your back. Because every time I would do them, the next day I couldn't walk. I was like, man, I can't do squats. Every time I did squats, I would wake up the next morning, I couldn't walk. So I said, okay, I'm done with squats. So I said, I'm gonna go back to what I did in high school. So I started pushing my truck. My brother-in-law had an Escalade, and I told him, I said, hey, man, I need you to come over here, and we need to push the truck on these days. So I started doing it. At the first, I was in this park there with nobody there, so I was just be up there every day. Then all of a sudden, one person would come up and say something. And one person, then it kind of turned into people had to come out and see me.
Well, of course.
So, and now if you look at a lot of, I said to myself, man, I should have got the copyright of that or something, because I see everybody got it now. If you go into the field house over there, everybody got it. If they got it's made out of wood, some people got it made out of wood. Some people it's still the same thing. So it's like now they got it now where you can literally. It's almost like everybody is doing it now. So it's something that definitely helps O-line. I think it keeps them low and makes them come off the ball and stuff. So it was something that definitely helped me when I was in high school. So yeah, I definitely believe in it.
A lot of guys don't want to do squats, and it's a great alternative to getting the leg strength. So, with this Madden football game, obviously over years it's just grown into this beast, and all these players are being offended by the way they're rated. Take me back to the combine. You ran a 4.640.
I ran a 4.640, but at that time, I was into Madden, but I don't think Madden was big as it is now. The cool thing about it now, I think all the guys that's on Madden are in the game playing now, so it's cool. And a lot of these guys, they're coming from playing sports for so long, so they know what they can do. So now they want to question who's doing all the rating, who's voting, who's saying what. So and most of the time it's skill guys that those guys are always worrying about what those ratings say. I don't think linemen and maybe D linemen and linebacker, but I don't think linemen really worry about ratings. But for me personally, I don't like what they do on Sunday Night Football. I don't know. That's what I would like to ask a question on. I don't understand how they get those ratings. But the Madden is fun. I think it's fun.
Did you ever pay attention to the ratings?
Never played.
Like when you looked at how they got Walter Jones, what was the highest rating you ever had?
I think somebody put on Twitter 2 days ago. Somebody did 07. I think it was 99. So I have had a 99.
You had it. Of course you did, man. I mean, the best you ever
I had to make sure it was real, though. It looked real, so I was like, oh, I guess so. So, but, for me personally, my son is into all that stuff. Now they got me on their Legend edition, too. So it's a 90, 95 now. So, I don't play that much. And once my kids were born, that was 19 years ago. So when my kids was coming into the world, their mom said, you got to put those video games down. So I literally stopped playing them. So I was because you got to realize I had 2 kids coming in at the same time. So I had to put the joystick down, man. So I didn't play it for a long time. I just started playing with my son probably a couple of years ago, but I beat him one time, and then I talk so much smack, and then he'll beat me, and then he won't play me no more. So he's like, I can't play, but he's pretty good, man. These kids are so good, man. You have to literally play that game all the time to be good as some of these kids are. Some of these kids are they can run some teams, man. Because I'm so used. I got 2 or 3 plays I'm gonna call during the game. I'm calling the go route. I got Randy Moss running a slant. My son is out there. He's changing defenses and everything, man. It's like playing a real game, man.
Okay, so who's your quarterback when you're running the go routes?
I always go with I tell them all the time. I always go with Tom Brady. I go the year with Tom Brady had Randy Moss, and I just go to go route with Randy Moss, or I ran a slant with Randy. And I let him know it's coming. The slant is coming, because no matter what he does, if that linebacker don't move, I'm hitting him. He knew it was coming, but he still couldn't beat me until he got good, and now he can flip defense, and he go into man defense and all that stuff. And I don't even know how to do all that stuff, man. He know how to make the defense. I don't understand all that, but these kids these days, it's they can start a whole team, man. They can go it's like being a general manager, man. So it's amazing what that video game can do now.
A couple more stories I want to hear, when Grant Wistrom came and Tobeck. Tell me about the Grant Wistrom comes in with a $13 million signing bonus or something, and tell me the first day of practice when you guys were going against.
Okay, I think this was. I want to say this. A year after the Super Bowl, maybe. I think it was my first year of holding out. I think the year that they signed Grant Wistrom, and they had signed him to a big. I think this was the year after St. Louis they came off their little run there, and they signed Grant to he got I want to say he got a $15 million signing bonus. So, and I was still going through my contract, and then people started talking. Oh man, y'all gonna pay Grant, but you can't pay Walt, blah blah. For me personally, I wasn't minding that. But then when we got the first time I got to practice, and I think everybody was waiting on that first one-on-one. Okay, this is Grant Wistrom. He got all this money. He coming off a Super Bowl win, coming with the Rams. This guy supposed to be the guy, and we went together. I shut him down. And then everybody was like, quiet. Then Robbie Tobeck just screamed out, $14 million my ass. And so it was I'm telling you, it was the weirdest thing, because I think everybody in practice was looking forward to, I'm talking about the running backs, the receivers. Everybody was like they was in their drills, but everybody was waiting on that moment. Let's see what this guy Grant can do against Walt, because we didn't just gave this guy all this money. And like I say, I ran him, did him in, and and it got quiet. Then all of a sudden, that's what Tobeck screamed out. It was like, oh, Tobeck,
man. Playing with Tobeck, though, he must have been the leader of the comedy, man.
Oh my God.
He had it all, didn't he?
So Tobeck had it all. The thing about Tobeck was that he was not that big, so he was like that little kid that if you take him somewhere, and he'll start the fight, but then once the fight gets started, he's nowhere to be found. or like we'd be going against a defensive end and he'll scream out like, "Hey, Walt gonna whoop your ass," or this and like, and we used to be, me and Hush would be like, "Hey dude, hey. Man, don't be talking to that dude, man. You're not gonna block him all game." Like I say, like he would say stuff like that. Just he just kept it comedy, man. I think he kept us, and and I think that's where a lot of the guys, like you talk to a lot of the guys that's been there now, like they always say, "Hey, Walt, come around," to kind of show these guys how to do it, and and most teams that's how it is. The O-line be together all the time, So I try to talk to those guys and just try to say, man, y'all always, you got to show that unity no matter about the other position. But that's a one unit that have to be together, have to be on the same page. That you got to know what everybody is doing at the same time. So anytime you get a chance to hang out, and when I first came in the league, it was all about hanging out. Like the O-lineman, like we had to go to breakfast on Saturday morning. We had to meet up I remember at that time it used to be the Brown Bag. We had to meet up at the Brown Bag every Saturday morning to eat breakfast with the O-lineman, and we did golf tournaments where we had to. That's when I first bought my first golf clubs. I haven't played that much golf since I bought them, and then I done bought a second bag, so just in case I have to go out there and pretend that I'm playing golf. But I just try to keep those guys. Me personally, I was a quiet guy. I was never a guy that got up and talked. I think Coach Holmgren asked me many times to get up and speak to the students. To the players. Never did it. I was like, no, that's not me, Coach. So I think he asked me one time. I was like, nope, I never did. That wasn't my personality to get up and try to root those guys on to get them. I figure like you at this point now, you got to know how to play.
Well, you bring up Brown Bag, which makes me think of Paper Bag. And Ray Rhodes used to be the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks back in the day. And we had some hot training camps you guys did over in Cheney. Yep. And we had the privilege of going out there only for a week and staying in our nice air-conditioned hotel rooms. And you guys were in the dorms. I'm sure you had AC in those beer cans out there, right?
Yes, we did. Yes.
But maybe the younger guys didn't. But one of the best quotes from Ray Rhodes is that he said that when Walter goes up against the majority of the guys in the league, it's like you put the guy in a paper bag, carry him around, open him up for the game day, whoop his butt, put him back in the bag, and move on to the next team. I mean, like Ray Rhodes had a ton of people have a ton of respect for you, but that was one of the best quotes. Ray Rhodes was just had this great respect for you back in the day, but. Man, I mean, that kind of stuff. And here, John Gruden, a disciple of Holmgren, he talks about when you came back from and you skip training camp, you play your first game and whoop everybody's butt. And he's like, that's a bad message for the rest of the league because a lot of guys think they can skip training camp now and play as well as you did.
Exactly. And I tell guys all the time, I said the thing that saved me, I said if we would have lost our coach, I probably would have came in early because it would have been a new offense. So I said in the back end, I was blessed because I was under Coach Holmgren for 10 years. We ran the same plays, 93 blasts, 2 jet. It was easy, like where everything. So that was nothing. Like when I came in the game, it wasn't like I was learning something new. I just got to make sure I'm in shape. I got to get the job done. So that made it easy for me. And I knew at that time I knew how to get in shape for it. I tell guys, like I tell young guys now, I tell them, I said, don't go out here running with the receivers and the running backs. I said, you have to do stuff that's going to help you in the game. So I used to say quick bursts and stuff that's going to get you ready for the game because most of the time you're coming off the ball, block. Now you got to get back in the line. Get back to the line. Now you got to get a play. So that's how I used to do drills. I would run, then I would stop, but then I get back. Okay, let's go again. Like you're doing it all the way down the field because that's kind of like game-like for me. Me running sprints. I'm not running sprints. That's not my job to run sprints. I'm not running sprints nowhere. I'm not chasing nobody. I'm not trying to get, that's, a lot of people like being the coach used to get into it all the time about recovering fumbles, man. Like we used to do fumble drills and stuff. I'm like, Coach, why are we doing these fumble drills? I said, I'm not recovering a fumble. I said, that's not my job. I told him what happened to me in a game against Washington, man. The Washington Redskins was up there, and we was running a play to the left, and then all of a sudden the ball popped out. Pew! It was going to the sideline. I said, okay, it's going to go to the sideline. So I'm running to the ball like it's going to go out. And that ball got straight to the end of the line. It just like literally when that ball came out, it came out like a freaking egg. And like it was like, I was like, it's going to go. But it got almost to the end. It stopped and started spinning. So I said, okay, I'm not going to grab it. And I was seeing like the secondary coming. I felt everybody coming. So I said, okay, I'm just going to reach down there and just knock it out of bounds. So I guess everybody thought I was going to pick it up. So when I tipped it, I swear I got hit by everybody on the Redskins. I got knocked up under the freaking So I thought everybody was gonna help me out, man. They cussed me out, called me a fatty and everything. Get off there! And I told the coach, I said, Coach, I'm done with fumbles. I'm done. I said, that's not my job. My job ain't. I tell people all the time. I said, my job ain't to cover. My coach used to get on me all the time about covering like interceptions and stuff. I'm like, okay, most of the time when I'm blocking, I don't see that part what happening because if you ever watch an interception thrown, the people that always get there first are the center, because most of the time he's not blocking nobody, or maybe one of the guards might see it, so he's gone. But most of the time the tackles don't see it because they're blocking the guy. And the quarterback, he might, some quarterbacks will. Like I remember Hasselbeck used to be the first one. I'm like, Hasselbeck, why are you running down? I said, somebody is looking for you, so why are you running down there? And so for me personally, when I hear the crowd, I'm like, okay, I look back and I see. So I'm saying to myself, okay, there go the receivers. So I'm like, oh, man, please make this tackle. They don't make the tackle. Then he cut it back. So for me, I never, I thought I just tell coach, I said, Coach, that's not my job. But, you have to.
You tell Holmgren that?
No, I just tell my O-line coach.
O-line coach, okay. Because Mike probably wouldn't go for that.
Do it, Coach Holmgren. He would get on the coach. Hey, get him to do it. He would never come to me, so never.
So you said about Hasselbeck, he was far from a diva, huh? Or was he?
Oh, he was. He used to say stuff like, hey, man, if y'all would have held him for one more second, he was wide open. Then me and Tobeck would be looking like, if he was wide open, throw the ball. And then we used to be in the practice, be like, yeah, right, why would you say, like, if he gets sacked or say, hey, man, if y'all would have held him one more second, he was wide open. If he was wide open, throw the ball. Like, so.
Do you guys still go? Do you go back and forth with him? I see Hutch.
Oh, always. With Hasselbeck is fun. Me and Hasselbeck just go. Like, I can tell you one story. I tell everybody the story about when I slapped him in training camp, and the thing about that was like I didn't feel bad until the next day, because the last day of training camp, in Cheney there, we was all in there and. They had us in that circular dorm. So basically, you got your rooms, but basically what the space to sit and have drinks and hang out the last night of training camp is right there in front of the elevators. And so Hasselbeck's room was right there by the elevator. So Hasselbeck being like you said, being a diva, Hasselbeck had the nicest.
How do you call him a diva? I just said.
Because you know why he had a diva? Because he had everything in his room. He had a fridge. He had a TV. He had a freaking. Every kind of the nicest bed, the chairs, man, everything, video games. So everybody had music and everything. So his room was. So that night he was in there playing video game, had the music playing. So we was all O-linemen. The last night of training camp, we did everything. So we all leaving tomorrow. So we decided, like, let's have a couple of drinks. So we all sat out there and had drinks and stuff. And Hasselbeck was in there playing the music. So it was getting late. And so all of a sudden, Hasselbeck, he didn't say, hey guys, I'm finna go to bed. He just turned the music off, boom, slammed the door. And I was like, hey, we called him everything, and then all of a sudden I said, man, if I had a key, man, I would go in there and slap him. Tobeck said, give me 1 second. So he went downstairs and got the master key and came back up. So I unlocked the door. I said, hey, Matt, man, I got to slap you, man. So, and being a little, have a couple of drinks in, so everything's become heavy. So the hands got heavy. So I was like, okay, man, I'm not gonna hit you that hard. But then, as you're coming down, it came down, slapped him. And then the next day, we was all about to get
head or his face.
Hit him right there, boom. So the next day, when I come into the training room, he was sitting there like, I'm not gonna practice. I gotta, guys, I don't feel good. And then I'm like, what's wrong, man? Then all of a sudden he turned around and my whole handprint was right on his face. I was like, oh my. So I felt bad for that, but then I apologized to him at the Hall of Fame and stuff. But it was fun. It was all. Hasselbeck was fun. Hasselbeck was very jovial, man. Just loved to have fun. So when we first signed Hasselbeck, he was coming from like Green Bay, and he had all the hype. They used to call him the Great White Hope. They used to call him Mr. August in Green Bay because he was balling.
That's right, Mr. August.
Exactly.
That's
so
right.
And then when he first got here, Holmgren was like, hey, this is my guy. We're gonna go with him. And he came in and we was like, I used to look at Tobeck like, man, dude, we ain't gonna do nothing, man. We going with Hasselbeck, man. Hasselbeck ain't doing nothing. And then that's when we went back to Trent Dilford, and then Hasselbeck came back, and then Hasselbeck started playing good ball. But for the second, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know about this guy, man. So I used to give him a hard time. But
yeah, well, Hasselbeck and Holmgren went back and forth.
Oh, definitely,
too,
definitely. They went back a lot, man. And the thing about us was like for offensive linemen, the offensive line coach would get chewed out by the coach, and then he had to come in and tell us about it. So, and I think with our coach, man, Coach Lovat was so great at, letting us know, like, everything runs downhill. So whatever's going on is going to come back to us in the end. So I think as a unit, I think as an offensive lineman, you have to know that going. If you say you want to be an offensive lineman, definitely at this level, you have to understand that that comes down. You look at this unit now. Like what 2 years ago they was the talk of the town. Like that was the talk. That's not the talk now because you to put Dwayne Brown out there. You to put and I think that's what you needed for those younger guys. You needed a veteran guy that don't have to say much, but just go out there and do it work, and then now everybody get on board. So I think that's gonna help this squad a lot. That you got him out there playing the way that he's playing.
Yeah, man. I know you have some great stories, and I'm telling you, we're going to have you back on because I want to keep going with it. But I do want to let you wrap it up with the fact that people see you, and they now, after listening to this podcast, probably, and a lot of other storytellers, they know where you came from and where you wound up. And I said, 12 years in the NFL, 9 Pro Bowls, Pro Football Hall of Famer. And then you see like where you are now, and it kind of you're setting a good example to the youngsters out there of how to be a professional and what you have to do in life, and a lot of it has to do with work ethic. And
that's so true. I've been trying to, when I first got in the league, I didn't have, I knew that this is where I wanted to play, but I was not watching. So my goal was to say, watch the older guys. When I came in the league, I came in the era where, it was all about gaining respect and your play. Let the guys know that, okay, he's serious. You have to go in, like they say, you have to go into the foxhole. Like, okay, let's see when times get tough what this kid gonna do. So I think that's what I had to do when I got here. I had a lot of veteran guys like Cortez Kennedy, Howard Ballard. So many guys that already had been proven in this league. So for me, it made it easy. I look at guys that I had to, like, now I tell guys that when I came to the league, I had so many left tackles that was like perennial Pro Bowlers, like Willie Roaf, Tony Baselli, Jonathan Ocht, and Orlando Pace. Man, I had so many guys to look at. So when a coach came to me, he said, "Hey, you want to be good? Watch these guys." So it was easy for me to go in and say, what he did last week, okay, that's what I got to do. So that made it easy for me. Okay, I got to be better than I was last year. And then I always tell people all the time, I said, for me, when I meet people, I try to just be myself, and hopefully when they walk out, my mom always told me from day one, your first impression is what people will remember for the rest of their life. So I try to do that every time I meet someone that, I want them to remember this is who I am, not because of the football or everything. This is me. This is real. This has never changed for me. I'm still the same person when I have nothing. I just, everything is like people say, my account didn't change and my address to change, but my heart haven't changed though.
That's important for people to know. Yeah, the fact that you have taken your career now to another level,
yes,
and you're almost learning again, aren't you? Because you seem super comfortable in front of the mic now, and speaking your opinions, and you basically have learned from probably a lot of different professionals in the broadcast business that, and have taken your game to another level.
Exactly. And I think the thing about it, I tell the younger guys, I say it's all about learning and then kind of trying to figure out what you want to do, you know what I'm saying? And you're try to be in control of it. And I think for me, I definitely feel that I'm in control of that situation, so that feels good. And you just learn, just watch people, and for me, I try to, all the young guys, if they want to hang out and just see how I do it, they see, they see stuff on Twitter and stuff. I just want them to get to know me and the type of person I am and what the things that I like to do and how I like to do it. So, and for me personally, I have a newfound energy because now my kids are living with me. My kids are like 19 years old. So now I'm getting a chance to be a dad again. Like, I've always been a dad to them, but not where, okay, now what I say now is going to affect them now on, because now I got the rope to now, from now until they decide to say, okay, Dad, we finna go live on our own. So for me personally, that's enjoying for me. So whatever I do out here now, I know that they're watching, and that can definitely affect them and what they see, because now they're becoming their own young adult. So I just got to be careful of everything I do because they're watching me every time I go out and about. So I have to be the person I am.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you something, man. After working with you all last season and spending time around you when you're not in your pads and being able to get to know the real Walter Jones, you're a genuine dude, man. You really are. And I think people really enjoy listening to you. And you certainly are a great leader by example. So thank you for coming on, and I'm looking forward to having you back, man.
Awesome, man. Thanks, man. It was pretty cool, man.
All right.
Appreciate it.